Welcome, members. My name is Mark Cusick, one of the co-founders of PocketExpert.Solutions. It's my pleasure to introduce you to one of our experts, Mark Stone. He has put an incredible program in on sales tax and the use of the different needs of sales tax and how you comply with the sales tax issues. I first met Mark when he was doing one of his famous seminars on sales tax, and we were listening to it with the other co-founder, Bob Grossman. And we thought we need to talk to this individual because he is the guy. He knows more about sales tax than I would ever know. And we looked for years to try to find somebody that can solve Pocket Expert sales tax problems, and we found the guy. So not only are we bringing him to you as the members, let you know that he is also going to be the person that takes care of us. So that's how much confidence we have in you, Mark. And welcome. Why don't you give us a little bit of information of who you are and some of your background?
Well, Mark, thanks for having me. And again, to kind of discuss my background, I got my start in the sales tax business, being a sales tax auditor for the government, going out, asking people for, asking businesses for money, issuing assessments, going to hearings to fight for the state to collect that money from the businesses, looking up tax rules, looking up other things as far as exemption documentation, what was needed, what wasn't needed. And then, going from there. After working for the government, I decided that wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. I left the state and went into private practice. I got my CPA license. I got a master's in taxation, went to work. I'm in New York for two of New York's larger accounting firms, handling their sales tax, running their sales tax departments. And about 15 years ago, I left there and started my own practice called Sales Tax Defense, where we exclusively handle multi-state sales and use tax problems all over the country for companies that are all over the world.
Excellent. It was amazing when we had these discussions. The complexity of sales tax in today's world is amazing to me. And when you go online and, who isn't doing a marketplace online today, it brings in all kinds of complications, right? And I remember I had the pleasure of hosting you through the majority of your input and your documentation into Pocket Experts. And I learned so much from you as we were going through that process on Nexus and the ability to understand when it is that we have a liability issue and when, how do we end up going about recording that information and documenting that information and making sure that we had the tools available to defend that information, right? And that's all critical, and you help so much with the design of the sales tax reports that we needed to generate and in our software and being able to pull all that stuff together. So, ultimately, I would love to be able to share some of the information with our members and show them a little bit about some of our discussions. Let's start by going into PocketExperts.Solutions and logging in. You log in as a member. You go to webinars. Contributor, put in Mark Stone. It's that easy. And here all of your consulting engagements have come together and you have the ability to access these particular webinars. Let's look at some of the titles, Mark, that you've put in here. The sales tax rules. And I love that one because I remember that discussion, just getting the foundation of what you need to do, right? What are the rules? Where do we start, right? How do you get this thing under control and how do you grab it?
Exactly. And there's some very basic things as far as what's sales tax, what's use tax, and where do you even have to file? That's the starting point of everything. And then of course, what is taxable, what is not taxable. So just very basic stuff, kind of like a best practices for somebody that maybe in the accounts payable department, an entry-level accountant, somebody who needs to first get familiar with just sales tax.
The one thing that is always an issue to us as experts, it always happens. Whenever we're very familiar about a particular topic, we always call it general, right? But what in fact you know nothing about this particular topic, the information there is so informative, it's over the top. And I think that that's where these programs were for me. I mean, I've had 30 years experience in business consulting and as a CPA and a business valuation analyst and valuing companies and all of that for years and years and years. But I wasn't an expert in sales tax, right? And
Until you heard all the seminars.
right, it's a huge difference, right? And then I know enough to be dangerous. Well, danger is a bad place to be, right? And I'm like, we need an expert in this area because the complications of the rules that are set up, not only by state but by county, becomes enormous, right? And
Absolutely.
you need the tools. You need tools to be able to help you develop that. You have those tools, we don't, right? So ultimately, when you get larger firms, they will have those tools or develop those tools. Smaller companies can't afford to develop that whole team of experts and those tools. So they need to have help. They need to be able to have somebody from a cost efficiency viewpoint that they can rely upon to take care of those particular issues. Can you give us a little bit of insight about some of the services that you can provide for the members once they get this understanding?
Well, we do pretty much everything soup to nuts for sales tax, from advising clients where they should be registered because of nexus rules, to advising them to what's taxable, what's not taxable, filing returns for clients, representing them on audits when unfortunately the government knocks on their door, disputing audit findings, taking it to court as needed, working out penalty abatements at the end of audits, working out payment plans. And unfortunately, if there's been a big mistake, maybe even doing an offer in compromise to settle the audit findings at the end of the day, so the company or the individuals that owned the company can go forward in some type of reasonable fashion.
Now, Mark, Pocket Experts is reaching literally worldwide. Do you have geographic boundaries?
We only do US sales tax, but we happen to handle a lot of sales tax matters for companies in Canada, Europe, and a few in Southeast Asia, besides, of course, all the companies that we have in the US themselves.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Let's take a quick look here at some of the things that are on Pocket Experts and how we can then expand this in the future year, right, as we continue going forward. We have sales tax rules, we have Nexus, and the filing requirements. I think this is a great place to start. If you're just trying to figure out how much you need to deal with and where you need to go, watching some of these videos can save a lot of the uptime before they even contact you to get through the details, because you're not starting at zero. You don't have to go through and explain all these things at your normal rate. They can get it at a much discounted rate as you would put it in here over and over and over again, right? So you get the value proposition by getting your homework done before you get into the nitty gritty, right? And we've given you a lot of that. So products and services subject to sales tax, understanding what the differences are and the nuances. That was an outstanding discussion about the different types of products and services, of which some are taxable, some are not. Some are at different levels of tax. Some are based on different counties. It was amazing to go through in detail and to try to find out, how does my program fit, right? It's really a second thought too. Sales tax is not something you think about. You think about this great idea, you think about how you want to sell it, and you go, oh, I can put it on the internet. Well, all of a sudden you're on the internet, you're making sales, and you're up to $10 million in sales, selling some products, and it's going all around the world. What do you do with sales tax, right? When does the Lexus kick in?
And even stuff like trying to understand what is my product. So a great example that I always like to give is some states tax chocolate and a lot of states don't tax bakery items or cookies. So you sell a Twix candy bar, which is a chocolate covered cookie.
Right.
Is it candy or is it a cookie? Is it taxable or not? Depends on how the state defines that item.
Right. It's that crazy, right? You would think it would be something you could just fill out a form, but it's not. It's much more detailed than that. And you explained it in an enormous amount of overview in these programs, right? How about the audit process? Holy cow. It's almost like when they come in full blown. And by the time you figure out what you did wrong, it's already an expensive proposition, right? Because you didn't collect maybe that sales tax, but you're still responsible for it, right?
Yeah, and the auditor's there to get money from your business, and no one should make any mistakes about it. They're not there to teach you the tax law. They're not there to show you how to do it correctly. They're there to look at your records and send you a bill at the end of the day. That's what the goal is.
Yeah, right. We have the contractor sales tax responsibility, how to compute and pay and use tax. disputing sales tax assessments when they come knocking on your door, service businesses and sales tax, how services work, right? We always think about products, but now we
Mhm.
got services, right? And those issues, and does that comply to us, right? A great discussion about service businesses, sales tax refunds, and then, what do we do when you owe taxes to the government? Where do I start now, right? These have been great programs, Mark. It's outstanding for you to spend a few minutes with us and getting to know our members, and our members getting to know you. It's great. Looking forward to some great things in 2022 with us. And thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.